Hey folks, today we're going to take a quick look at grants in DBT. I'm going to talk about a Snowflake example, and there's a specific section at the end where it is Snowflake specific, but for the most part, granting and revoking should be the same across the different database data warehouses. So DBT has the ability to grant select some sort of permission to a specific user or role if you specify the grants configuration. Now, I've gone ahead and dropped the two tables that I want to show today from Snowflake so that they don't exist. Here I've got a table and a incremental model, none of which exists. So first, I'm going to talk about the table itself. So we can see here when I build the table is created, and there is no grants or anything special like. So I've used the transformer role to build this stage customers table. So if I look at the permissions on that table, we see that there's the ownership privilege on that to transformer, which is expected. Now I've got a couple other different roles, for example, dbt dev role. So let's say I want to grant select to, should be select to the dbt dev role like this. So I believe it must be a list. Now let's see what happens when I build this table again. Just double check runs. Looks like, oh, doesn't have to be a list. It can just be this. Cool. Now with this grants configuration, after the table is built, we do a grant select to the dbt dev role. If I check the grants now on the stage customers table, then we see that there's an additional select that we didn't have before. Great. What if we build this table again? Let's see if we get another grant statement. And the answer is yes, we do over here. Because when tables are recreated, the permission is lost, and then we need to grant select to that dbt dev role again. Let's see how that looks like for incremental models. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it right here. Recall that I don't have this count customer table yet, right? So this is being created from scratch for the first time. So you can see the incremental model is being created for the first time. And then the grant select is applied to it. If we look at the grants on the table, we see that there's the select, which is great. If I run it a second time, which is an incremental run of my incremental model, you can see now dbt has a show grant statement instead, and dbt has detected that, hey, my incremental model already has select granted to the dbt dev role, so it's not necessary to run that grant again, and so it did not do so. Now, there's an additional thing that dbt will do. So for example, I'm going to grant select to my incremental model to this tester role, right? I'm going to do this outside of dbt. So dbt doesn't know that, I've given tester access to this table. This is the wrong table. I wanted to give it to my incremental model. So let's have a look. Now my incremental model has this 3 different privileges, right? Select was given to tester as well. What happens now if I run my incremental model again? Right. So now you see dbt has ran a show grants, and it detected that, hey, there's this tester role that can see the table. So I'm going to run a revoke select from it. And dbt detected that the tester shouldn't have access because we didn't specify it here. And dbt has rightfully revoked it. Now I'll show you this additional grant inheritance thing. So there's this kind of plus syntax here that we can do in front of this select. I think some folks see this plus thing and they kind of read this stuff, and what they assume is that if I grant select to tester like this outside of DBT, right? I think the assumption is that with this plus, here, DBT is not going to revoke access to tester. Let's see if that's true or not. Okay, so you can see here, we still revoked it from tester, right? So this plus configuration is not about please leave my existing permissions alone. It has nothing to do with that, right? So let's see what this plus thing is all about. Okay, so you can see that I have kind of a same grant here. I'm granting access to my table, to DBT dev role. I'm granting access to count customers to my DBT dev role. So those of you who want to keep things neat and tidy, they can do it in the DBT project YAML file, and we can go ahead and remove it from here, right? So let's just double check that everything works when we do this. Then I'll get to the plus after this. Cool. So table is recreated and we have granted it to the dev role. This is expected. Our incremental has been processed. It ran as show grants and it didn't detect anything that didn't require the select permissions, and so it did not run a revoke. Now, this is expected. So what is this plus thing all about? Now I'm going to add a grants here, perhaps because the staging model, I want yet another role called the prod role to be able to access. So basically what I want here is I want my stage customers and my count customers. I want DBT dev role to be able to select from both of them. Additionally, I want my stage customers table. I also want to grant it to this kind of higher level production role. So let's see what happens for when I rebuild my stage customers model. Now, as we know, whenever we rebuild a table, we need to grant select to all of the roles that we want to give access to. Here we see that we only grant select to the DBT prod role and not the DBT dev role, right? We can double check this. And you can see there's only select on the prod role. There's no select to the dev role. So this is where the plus comes in, right? This plus is about adding instead of clobbering. So because I have not added a plus here, this tells DBT to, hey, please not use this, but just use this, right? That's the behavior of clobbering, which means replace the thing that this is a higher level in the project YAML file, and this is a lower level in the model itself. So it's using this configuration instead. But if we do a plus, we are basically telling DBT, please take what we have here and just add this to it, right? So let's see what happens if we rebuild our stage customers table. And now we see that we have these two as expected, right? We're granting select to DBT dev role, DBT prod role, both with this plus. So it's important to recall again, plus is not about ignoring permissions that were given externally. Plus is simply whatever we have here in a higher level, like the DBT project YAML file, add to it. And that's all it is, right? DBT will still revoke if the permission given is not one of this that's been specified. Okay, now this is a Snowflake thing, additional Snowflake thing. If you look at Snowflake, Snowflake has this kind of copy grants functionality. So what this copy grants thing does is essentially going to change the DDL of table when we create it. So I'm going to remove all the grants. And I'm going to go check the current grants on my account customers table. Sorry, my stage customers table. Yeah. Okay, so here we can see that we have got access dev and prod currently has access from the last time we ran it over here. I'm going to remove all grants from dbt, right? So I'm not specifying any additional roles here. I just have this kind of copy grants true kind of thing. Now I'm going to rebuild our table, and we're going to see the SQL queries that are sent. Okay, so now you can see that there's no additional granting that we are doing. What's happening with this copy grant statement is dbt is basically just saying, adding this copy grants keyword here whenever you are recreating the object. So if I double check here, you can see that the grants have not changed because we use the copy grants here. So if I revoke, let's say, from my stage table, from role dbt dev role, let's say, revoke select on table from role. Okay, cool. That's it. So I've revoked this. Now let me look at the permissions again. So now only dbt prod role has access to the stage customers table. Rebuild our table. It has the copy grants keyword. Copy grants, there you go. There's no revoke anything. Double check the permissions. Then there's the select still. What happens if we remove the copy grants? Then you can see here, it no longer has the copy grants here, right? Copy grants is done. So if we double check this, now we have lost that select to the prod role, right? So basically copy grants means copy whatever is already there. And it can be quite deceiving, right? Because you're not sure what's happening. So as best practice, you want to be super explicit, right? So my recommendation is to always specify the select or the ownership or what have you, be really specific. Like don't try to use future grants or anything like that with Snowflake. Don't try to grant permissions outside of dbt to dbt objects, because you're going to get lost in terms of why you are losing access and why you have access and all these types of things. So make sure that you don't try to do grants in dbt and outside of dbt, because that's going to make things very complicated for you. Thank you.